Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And of course, like always guys, I appreciate a like on the video before I continue. And right down below on the right hand corner we have the subscribe button. If you've not ever seen any of my videos, it's your first time here and you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe down below, and also do not forget to turn on the notifications. This way you will not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, today is Friday, May 4th, 2018. We have two more great Fanduel NBA playoff basketball games today. An awesome big 100K GPP is up for grabs tonight, and obviously I'm going to do everything I can to try to win that, as well as among a whole bunch of you. We have Golden State and New Orleans. And we need to, New Orleans, which there's one of the teams I'm rooting for. I really love the Utah Jazz. They're playing tonight, so I look forward to seeing them at home. But New Orleans, the Pelicans are at home today. We have Golden State is favorite. We have implied totals here of 118. Yes, we have 118 for Golden State to New Orleans 114. They are 4-point favorites in New Orleans. Definitely should be another shootout. Couple of things I noticed is that both teams committed a lot of turnovers, and a lot of those turnovers turned into points. Both teams scored 22 points in the last game off of each other's turnovers. I think if New Orleans, in my point of view, if New Orleans could actually have their 3 or 4 stud players, which is Davis, Holiday, and Rondo, and then of course throw in there Merichik. If Merichik can shoot the ball well and be at a 45%, or all 4 of those guys can shoot at 45% clip or better, and they can minimize the turnovers, they will win the game. I mean, offensively they got enough weapons to do it, and they got a couple of role players that can get going too, like in Moore and even Miller from outside. So I mean, definitely an interesting game. I think the New Orleans, if they're going to get back in this series, this is the game they're going to have to, because now they're going to fall into elimination mode, being down 3-0 in Game 4 if they do not win tonight. So I'm expecting New Orleans to go all out today. I expect the guys to play well. I love Holiday, as you guys know. I favor him on the New Orleans team. Definitely Rondo has had a great playoffs and a great series thus far. So Rondo has definitely been playing the best basketball I've seen him play in a long time, and it's because he just connects well with these guys. This is the perfect situation for him. So I'm happy for him there. He has a lot of experience, and like I said before in my last video, he is like another coach right on that floor, because he's been here, he's been there and done that. Let's put it this way. I mean, he's won a championship with the Celtics. He has been in playoff situations. He knows what is at stake. So definitely look forward to this game. Anyway, let's jump in. I'm going to go over the players, and then I'm going to tell you what I think are the best possible players that are in the best possible spots. And then, of course, I'm going to obviously go over what I think are some maybe possible double stacks and maybe some triple stacks or triple plays as far as individual team stacking of players. So let's go right in. I have the cruncher ready as well. What I have here is, let's go right to the cruncher. All right, so we got here Golden State, New Orleans. You have the top 2 point guards on the are Curry and Rondo, of course. Livingston gets very little time now. Cook is not going to get probably no time at all now. Ian Clark gets a few minutes. I'm not interested at all in Cook or Clark or Livingston. I'm only focusing on these 2 guys here, Curry and Rondo. We go here to the cruncher, 2 point guard. Curry just came back obviously from an injury. He's projected to put up 47 today. They got him at what, 9,700, so they jacked up his price by $700 from his first game back. He had a pretty good game, 42 fantasy points in 27 minutes. That is phenomenal. I mean, to think that he's going to start today, he's obviously got his feet wet. He definitely committed a lot of turnovers, but he's kind of turnover prone. So we got to expect that from Curry, because he tried to be too cool, too smooth, and too much finesse with his passes, and sometimes he gets very careless. He had 6 big turnovers in that game, as you can see here, but he did compensate that with 3 steals, so he makes up with it there as far as fantasy points are concerned. He has 7 rebounds, and surprisingly the assists were low, but he's normally not known to be a big assist guy anyway. But then he shot the rock pretty darn well, 8 of 15, 5 of 10, got to the free throw line, hit all 7 shots. So I mean, that's what you want to see. Usage rate is through the roof. It's going to be, because he is really the star here. I mean, other than Durant, They do have Draymond, who's been playing lights out, and they got Klay Thompson. But I mean, those four guys are phenomenal. I just think that Curry is the spark plug here on this team. And, you know, if this team goes down, it's because Curry didn't play well enough, or the other team was just that much better. So we'll see what happens here. But Curry definitely in play tonight, 9,700. You need to get out of him 40, about 43, 44, and he put up 42 now in the last game in minimal minutes, 27. I expect him to play maybe 35 minutes, and if the game is really close, he may go higher than that. If he definitely has the full okay to go that more than 35. But I project him to have about 35 minutes tonight, and again, he may go even further than that. So Curry definitely is in play. He's a fine play. He's probably the best point in the slate today, and especially in this particular game. I'm going to go only at this game at the moment. But Curry definitely in play. I also love Rajon Rondo is in play too. Rondo has been phenomenal. I mean, you know, let's look at Rondo for a minute. Rondo is what do we got here for Rondo? Rondo's averaging 42. He's averaging 42 points throughout the playoffs, man. Rajon Rondo's been averaging 42 points. Let's go right into him. Look at all this green. I mean, he's been at value or better for like 9 games. You know, he's been fantastic. He's been fantastic all throughout the last part of the season into the playoffs. He's been magnificent. 56 fantasy points in the last game. He did a little bit of everything. You know, he's another one. Look at this: 7 turnovers. That's a killer. And that's one of the reasons why they lost the game by 4 or 5 points, in the last game. You know, you can't commit that many turnovers. But 8 of 15 from the floor, 3 of 4 from three-point range. He got on the foul line very little, but he got all 3 shots, 3 of 3 from there. He had 7 rebounds. What I like is he got 3 offensive rebounds. 3 offensive rebounds are big. That means you get second chance opportunities, and that's what you really want to see from anybody on the floor. But I've been very impressed with the way he's been going to the boards and getting rebounds in general throughout the series and throughout the playoffs. Look at this: 8, 10, 5, 7, 8, 7. That's not, it's not something you expect from a guy who's really a high assist guy. But 12, 11, 16, 11. I mean, his numbers have been just phenomenal. But last game, 38 minutes, 24% usage rate. I mean, yeah, he's definitely played 7,500, and you're going to get numbers like this, and he's averaging 42. He's actually below value. His price is it's perfect. That's considered. And the way he's playing in the playoffs and averaging 42 fantasy points, I'll pay 7,500 for Rondo every single game that he plays in the playoffs if he stays at that range. He's gonna definitely blow away that number here. I see him scoring easily 40, 45 or better. And he has tremendous upside, of course. 55 here, 56 in the last game, 43 is pretty good, 42. So he is more than capable of it, and he's facing a team that has their issues with guards. They've had their issues. We know Curry is not the best defender, because he's more of an offensive-minded player. And that's fine. And that's fine with Rondo, because Rondo is not that good a defender either. So they kind of balance themselves out. All right, so Rondo definitely in play. Steph Curry definitely in play. I think Curry is the best play today because he has the biggest upside. He can light you up for 50, 60, 70 any given night. And then if his minutes do go up another 7 or 8 minutes and gets to 35, 36 minutes, you never know. He's going to definitely hit 50 plus. So I definitely like Curry, and I definitely like Rondo in that game. In the shooting guard position in this game, Jrue Holiday, definitely one of my favorites. 9,000, a little pricey. He's been a little inconsistent as of late, but 49 in the last game, almost 50 spot. He did have that dud 20 in game 1, and then he had a nice finish here in Portland. He had a little minor dud here and a 52 here, so he's been a little up and down, but overall, Holiday's averaging 41 throughout the playoffs, 41 fantasy points, so he needs 45 with that price tag, and obviously we know he can get there, and we know he has 50 plus upside, so he is definitely priced where he can definitely meet that, and he can actually surpass it. His numbers, 47 minutes, literally played 47 minutes in the last game, and they couldn't pull out the win. He was a little off in a few shots, 11 of 24. He took up, an enormous amount of shots, which is fine. I have no problem with Holiday taking that many shots. Let's just bury them a little bit more. Let's make this a 45-50% clip, and you'll be all right. So if he would have hit on half of these threes, that would have been the game. He missed 7 3-pointers, 2 of 9 from there, but he was great here. 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He does all the little things. He gets those steals time to time, block shots. He didn't have no fouls. I mean, that's impressive. After having a foul trouble game 1, he came back in game 2 and was solid there. So I think he's going to bounce back. These guys play so much better at home. The fans are going to be right behind him. I am expecting a full 150% effort by the Pelicans tonight, including Mr. Holiday. And I do expect New Orleans to pull out a win tonight and make this series a little interesting. But Drew Holiday is definitely in play. And then the other gentleman that's in play in this particular game is Mr. Klay Thompson. This is all preference. I am not on Klay Thompson simply because Curry is back, and Curry is going to get a little bit more minutes than 27 today. I would assume that he is. And even though he played 38 minutes in the last game, his minutes will definitely be reduced a little bit. And to be out there on the floor 38 minutes and he got off 20 shots, he had a horrible night. 4 of 20 and 2 of 11, only 10 points, man. But he is definitely, and everybody that knows that plays DFS, he is definitely one of the best GPP plays you can have, because he can get crazy and he can just go bonkers and go berserk any given night, where he doesn't miss. So I mean, he has definitely big time GPP upside. I would consider him. I'm not quite feeling him. I like Curry better. I'm willing to pay the 9,000 as opposed to 67. At 67, you need 30. You need about 30, 34, 35 from Klay, and I think he can get that. It's just too much inconsistency for me to pay that price when I know that within the other game I can get a shooting guard that can get the job done. Because I love Mr. Mitchell in the Utah series. So I mean, so if I'm looking there, I'd rather go Harden, when we get to that later. But right now, or Mitchell, as opposed to going to Klay. All right. We go here, same game. Nobody else here that I have obviously is no interest here in anybody else. It's just Holiday and Thompson. If I had a preference, I'd definitely go Holiday. He has a good upside. Klay is great GPP play, but I would rather have somebody that's a good core player. Holiday would definitely help me there. I would rather go with him than with Klay. Small forward, Durant is definitely in play. Iguodala is in play. Definitely these lower tier value plays in Moore and Miller are definitely good options for people. Let's go to the cruncher and we'll take a look a little bit further there. Small forward, Durant, he has been fantastic, 59. And you don't see a lot of greens here, but he's more or less in that range. And he is averaging, Durant is averaging 48 fantasy points throughout the playoffs. That's not bad. He's at 10,600, so you need 50. You need about 53 from him, 54. He needs to get up there. It's quite a steep price. I'm not on Durant simply because those numbers don't look too good for me. But we know he's a good play because he has upside. He has the potential to put up 55, 60 easy, as he did here. He put nearly a 60 spot in the last game. But he had to play 41 minutes. He took up a number of shots, 11 of 23, and he was close to 50% there. Was definitely not 50% from the three-point stripe, at 2 out of 7. But he had 7 assists, 6 rebounds. Surprisingly, a little lower in the rebounds there. But he did other things. 3 blocks, 2 steals. Again, this is what I always praise. This is why those fantasy points go up. It's because we have somebody like Durant that is capable of blocking some shots. He's not a big fouler. And he definitely is capable of stealing the ball. And he can do all the other things like assist the ball. He can actually rebound. And of course, he can shoot from the 3 and from the foul line and shoot from the floor. So that's what makes him, what we call a triple threat. He's capable of being explosive in almost any area of the game. But this is a tough matchup for him. And even though he had 60 in the last game and he's been averaging 48, I would look to pay up maybe for Curry out of the Golden State guys, and maybe even a Draymond Green who has a better matchup than Durant. So I mean, as far as paying 10,006, I have no problem with paying 10,006. I'll tell anybody that if you want to pay for Durant, you can do that. He's definitely in play. I think he'll get near that value, but I want to look for somebody that could give me value and then some. And he's not that much more from where he's at as far as his price. you know, how much more further he can go up from there. So with that, I would pass on Durant, but I think he's not a bad play. Joe Ingles for the Utah game. Excuse me, Joe Ingles. Iguodala, definitely not a bad spot for Iguodala. I've really been surprised at how well he's been playing. At 4,600, he is definitely giving you value. You know, I mean, put 37 in the last game. He played 34 minutes, 5 of 8, 1 of 3. He has 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. I mean, he has been like playing like, you know, rejuvenated young Iguodala. I mean, you know how explosive he was when he was younger. And all of a sudden now he's just playing really, really good basketball. Iguodala has been averaging 24 during the course of this playoffs, these 2018 playoffs. He is definitely one of the value plays here for Golden State at 4,600. I think he's definitely a good play here. If you can get him in there, you want to pay somewhere else, and you want to get value in the small forward position, Iguodala would be a good person to consider there. For New Orleans, I also like Mr. Moore. You got Moore and Miller, and Moore has been a little bit more better. He has definitely 35 plus upside. He is at 4,500, so you're looking at maybe about 23, 24 from him. He's been at 22 and 27 over the last 2 out of the 3 games he has played in this series. In this particular series, he had that 22.9. He's averaging 18 throughout the playoffs, and at 4,500, I mean, we know that he's capable of putting 30, even as high as 40, as you can see here. So he has definitely upside. I like the fact that he's a 30-plus upside guy for that price. That's a risk I'm willing to take with a GPP. And if he definitely can nail down the shots a little bit more, because he played 36 minutes and he shot 5 of 13 from the floor, so that was definitely a poor shooting night for him, getting 13 shots and only hitting 5, and he was 50% from 3, which I could take. That's respectful. I would have loved him to hit 1 or 2 more. But pretty much that is it. And he did a couple little things, like he got a block shot, he got a steal. He's not a big fouler, so that's good too. 14 points total. So Mr. Moore, to me, it's been effective. And at 4,500, I wouldn't mind him at all. And at the very end, I'm going to share with you the value plays for each team that I think are the best value plays. And for this New Orleans team, he's definitely a viable, value play for tonight, at least in my opinion. Darius Miller is another guy you can go with. He is not as consistent. His minutes did go down in game 2, as opposed to game 1. He's been averaging 13 over the course of these playoffs this year in 6 games. He definitely has 20 to 25 point upside. As you can see, he got 23 in game 1, but that was in garbage time. As long as this game is close, he is not going to be a major factor. The major factor for the value plays for New Orleans will be Moore, who starts and definitely gets more time on the floor. So I'd rather go with the guy who gets the minutes, because that's what you want to have. If you don't have minutes, you don't have time on the floor, you can't score no fantasy points, you can't score points and help your team. So I definitely would favor Moore. But Darius Miller is a fair play at 3,500. I'd just rather pay 1,000 more and play Mr. Moore. Power forward in this game, we have Mr. Anthony Davis and Draymond Green and Marichek. We know that Anthony Davis here on Fanduel, he's under power forward, but we know he's going to play center. So if you lock him in, obviously, you're going to have to pick a center, which you have the option in the other game with Gobert and Capella, which is not bad. You're going to get 2 monsters up front, so I don't think it's a negative thing. With having Davis play that power forward, it's just a matter of can you squeeze these guys in as far as price. So Anthony Davis at 12,900. We go to the cruncher. Anthony Davis they got him projected to 60 today. He put up 63 in the last game, and he's been averaging what I have here for Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis is averaging 59 fantasy points throughout these playoffs. 59, almost 60 on average. He's going to have to keep putting up those numbers, and we know that he has 70-point upside. And at 12.9, you need 55, you need 60, almost 65 points from him. So you're going to be paying for hopefully 65 fantasy points from him. It's going to be tough. I don't know if I'm on Davis today on my lineups, because that is a lot of money, and definitely he's going to be near that range. My concerns are, is he going to be able to give me even more value than that? Is he going to get me 68? Is he going to, like he did here, or even 70? I don't know if he's going to quite get there. But I know he's going to score quite a bit. And, of course, he is capable of doing it. We know he is. And that's why they have him here at that 12.9 spot, 12,900. So a lot of points you're going to need from Anthony Davis, pretty much 65 points, and that's quite a bit. So I'd rather get value somewhere else. But he's in play, guys. He's a phenomenal ball player. It's someone that you definitely can consider. 12 of 24 in the last game, took massive shots. He's getting shots. If he buries a few more of these, he's definitely breaks 70 with no problem. 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He does a little bit of everything. And he's been like that for the first 2 games of this series. He had 2 and 3 in game 1. Only 1 turnover. 10 rebounds. Alright, he was even better in the last game. 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Okay. He's getting the offensive rebounds. So second chance opportunities. 4 here and 2 in game 1. Alright, he shot poorly in game 1, shot a little bit better, 50% in game 2, but if he can go even higher than that, then you got yourself a 70 spot with no problem. So Anthony Davis definitely in play. You're just going to have to pay off from him if you want to, but a little risky because he's going to be close to that value, and he may have an off day and you might not even get to that value. You might not even get there. The best play here to me is Draymond Green. 9,000, his price has gone up. So we go to Draymond, 9,000, but Mr. Green is averaging 47 throughout these playoffs, and in the last 2 games in this series alone, he's put up 62 and 57 pretty much here. We round that off. He has played massively, 41 minutes in the last game. He was 7 of 11, 2 of 5 from 3, had 9 total rebounds, 12 assists. I mean, pretty much almost had a triple-double again. 1 steal, 2 blocks. He did have 5 fouls. Got into foul trouble a little bit, but he was able to get through the game. That was pretty much late. It wasn't early. So he got sufficient minutes, 41 minutes. He only rested 7 minutes in the entire game and put up 57 pretty much. So Draymond Green has been on fire, and this is a tough matchup for New Orleans. New Orleans definitely has had their issues with power forwards. So definitely Mr. Green is in a good spot. New Orleans has, looking here, New Orleans, 13 big games allowed by New Orleans against power forwards. So that's one of the reasons why I like Mr. Green in this series at this position. Draymond Green, to me, is the best play here, and he's obviously $3,900 cheaper than Anthony Davis, and he's going to get you, possibly 45 plus. So I like Mr. Green here. I think he's in a good spot once again to put up 50 plus. So if you're thinking of someone at power forward, I'd rather pay for Green. If you ask me, that's my opinion. Marichek is another good play if he can get it going. As you can see, all the green here was prior to the season ending. He was on fire. In the playoffs, he's had a little bit of his issues, but he's playing fairly well. He's averaging, let's see what Marichek is averaging 39 fantasy points during the seven games or so that he has played in the playoffs. He's had one nice one here, 54. That was back in Game 3 of the Portland series. But in this series, he started off with a 21, which is the dud, which has been his worst game in the last 10, 12 games. So we know he's a guy that can turn it back on. This is not giving me a red flag here. Okay, just because he got a 21 spot here in Game 1, that he's going to continue going in this pattern. He turned it around. He put 15 fantasy points better in the last game. And as long as he keeps on getting massive minutes and he's able to get shots, now if he could get these shots to fall, as you can see, 7 of 16 and 3 of 8, these are not great numbers. But if Marichek can bury these at a 45 to 50% clip on both the 3-point and from the floor, he's going to be fine. And continue to rebound. He is going to rebound. He's not a big passing guy, 2 steals in the previous game, but he has 6 fouls. He fouled out, 18 points total. If he could just stay out of foul trouble, which he hasn't had an issue with. It was just, as you can see here, he hasn't fouled out in quite a while. So 6 fouls in the last game definitely hurt him, even though he played pretty much the whole game because he played 39 minutes. Could have been the difference, in this game being so close. And again, like I said, the keys for them is for all 4 of these guys, including Marichek, as well as them converting on turnovers by Golden State and them minimizing their own turnovers. They're going to win the game. I mean, they have enough offensive firepower to actually compete with Golden State. They're one of the very few teams that are left that has that kind of firepower offensively. So I really still like the Pelicans in the series if they can win tonight. They can win tonight, they can get back in the series. They don't win tonight, they're done in the series. There's no way they're going to win 4 games in a row. I would say never be shocked because I've seen it in baseball. I mean, Boston did come back on the Yankees many years ago from a 3-0 deficit. I just don't think that that's going to happen here in basketball with Golden State. So the Pelicans definitely need to win this game to at least. This is like a do or die situation for them tonight. They need to win this game, and we need Mr. Marichek to shoot the ball well. So I like Marichek at his price, 7,200. You need about 36 from him, and he's averaging 39. So right there, that comes to show you that price is not too bad for Nikolai. 39 fantasy points is what he's been averaging, and they're asking for 7,200, and he needs to get 36. They're projecting him to get almost 40 tonight. So he is definitely a very good play here. All right, and he has upside. We know that he's capable of putting up 50. So definitely someone to consider there as well, guys, in this game. Center, nobody in this particular series I like at center. Obviously, we know that Anthony Davis in DraftKings and maybe in some of the other sites has him as a power forward and possibly center as well. Unfortunately for Fanduel, we don't. We have McGee and Petrulia, and these guys are not going to see a whole lot of action. And obviously, I'm not going to pay for either one of these guys. So we definitely, that's pretty much the case there. What I think of as far as stacking in this particular game, I like the Curry Durant stack, and I like Green with Durant. So either one of those two will work. And then you can do a triple play. If you wanted to go with 3 guys from Golden State, definitely Curry, Durant, and Green. Between those 3, 42, 48, and 47 respectively, we're talking about some serious, fantasy points there. And again, that's what we're aiming for. That's what we're aiming for. We're looking for guys that are going to give us value and then some that has the potential, especially this is more so for GPP guys. All right, because like I said before, if you've never been here before, I always discuss. My mindset is on GPP when I'm discussing this on the channel. But I would tell you, somebody's a good cash player now. Curry's a good cash play tonight. Durant as well. If you're willing to pay that particular price, they should get somewhere near value. Okay, maybe then some. But they also are a good GPP play because they're capable of actually exceeding value. So those are my stacks there as far as Golden State's concerned. I like Curry with Durant, and I like Durant with Green. Not so much on Thompson. Thompson has been averaging 30. If anything, if anybody wanted to know, Klay Thompson has been playing very well. He's averaging 30 over these playoffs. So he's doing fairly well. I just think that his minutes and his shots are going to be reduced a little bit more the longer Curry starts getting back in the flow of the offense. And he may get 35 minutes. I'm projecting he's going to get about 35 minutes, maybe even more tonight. He got 27 in his first game back, and he put up 42 fantasy points. So I expect him to do a little bit more today. I think Golden State know that if they can bang up these Pelicans today and steal one away from them at home in New Orleans, that they're going to be in the best possible chance or the best possible position to finish this series off pretty quickly. So they're going to come and they're going to try to take care of business tonight. And I think Curry is the main, the main guy you should be focusing on here with Golden State. I think he's the best player out of all the Golden State guys. And then after him, I really like Draymond Green. All right, so those are the two I would like to have. And then, of course, the triple play, Curry, Durant, and Green is definitely great. You're going to get 10, 17, 12, 13. You're going to get about 137 fantasy points with those 3 guys, the way they've been averaging, if they get near that average. But the beauty of it is all 3 of them have those averages of 47, 48, and 42, and they have the upside to go 50 plus. So definitely a good stack when you think of Curry, Durant, and Green in your lineup. So something to consider there, right, guys? New Orleans stacks, definitely they are in the same position too. They have got a lot of good offensive weapons. I like the Holiday with Davis stack. Holiday's averaging 41, Davis 59. Right there between the two, you got about 100. Fantasy points right on the nose. Rondo is averaging 42, and Marichek 39. And if you wanted to go with all 4 guys, I wouldn't. If you could squeeze them all in there and still get value somewhere else from the other game, I would highly recommend that too. I think that it's better to just go with 2 or 3 guys from New Orleans. If I'm going to go with the 3, I like Rondo, Holiday, and Davis because I think they're a little bit more consistent right now during the course of the playoffs, and I think they're also the best 3 players they got. But Marichek is that missing link out of the 4 guys. They need all 4 to do well for them to be able to win the series. So definitely Marichuk is in play. Value plays for each team, just to give you a value play. Golden State value play, definitely, I mentioned before, Iguodala. He's only 4,600, and he's averaging 24 fantasy points, so it's pretty much around value, and then he has that upside that he can get you close to 30. So he's not a bad play at 4,600. West is another one at 4,300. He's averaging 18. So if you wanted to go cheaper and go to 4,300 and want a Golden State guy you want to squeeze in there, Mr. West has done well. The only problem with Mr. West is not getting a whole lot of minutes, but man, he has been very effective during the playoffs, playing the minimal minutes. He pretty much gives you a point or more a minute every single time he takes the floor. So he has been really, really effective. He's definitely a sneaky, sneaky nice play if you really wanted to try to shoot for some of these top tier players and try to squeeze in a guy that can probably give you maybe 20 plus and only cost you 4,300. There are a couple of guys that are a little bit cheaper. New Orleans Pelicans, I definitely like Etuan Moore. Like I said before, he's also at 4-5. And if I had a preference between Iguodala and Moore, I'd probably be leaning to Iguodala simply because he's averaging 24 during the course of these playoffs. But Moore is averaging 18 and he has 35 plus upside. So you got to weigh those things because he's capable of exploding any given day and giving you a lot more for your money. So Etuan Moore is definitely someone to consider here as a value play if you were stacking New Orleans guys and you wanted to squeeze in one of these cheaper New Orleans players. He's definitely is a fine play. And if you're looking at Golden State and you say, hey, you know what, I don't want to stack or I can't find the room to have Curry, Durant, and Green, let me go with Curry, Durant, and Iguodala. Or let me go with Green, Durant, and Iguodala. You can do that. I think Iguodala is a fine third piece there to a triple play 14. So that's what I see here in this particular game, Golden State, New Orleans. Let's move on now to Houston, Utah. Obviously, I love the Utah Jazz. I'm glad they're home. That was an awesome game the other day. Now they've found at least the formula how to be able to defend Houston a little bit better. We know the Utah is one of the best, actually is the best team defensively during the course of this season. And they're going to need to keep it going without Ricky Rubio again today, which I told you would probably be almost impossible for them to try to really win the series. But man, these guys stepped it up the other day. We had guys like Exum. We had everybody. It's just the whole team just comes together, and Angles was just incredible the other night. So anyway, enough of that praising the Utah Jazz. Let's look at into it with some power point guards here. We got Chris Paul, and pretty much here it's just Chris Paul. Dante Exum definitely could be a guy sneakily you could put it. He's only 3,000. Let's go to the cruncher. At point guard, all right. Chris Paul is the second one here in this particular slate to put up the most. Well, actually, no. Let me just fix these projections here. Actually, Rondo is second at 40, and they are projecting Chris Paul at 3,500. His price is 8,800. That is actually kind of expensive for his possible projections. Let's see how he has done. Let's see how he has done throughout this series. Let's see here. Paul is averaging about, what is he averaging? I'm sorry guys, here, Chris Paul, about 38. Alright, so he, 35. I don't know, man. Chris Paul definitely is in play. I just don't, I haven't been feeling Chris Paul much. I really love Curry and Rondo more in this slate than I like Chris Paul. He's definitely the third choice for me. But if you want to stack up Houston players, then yeah, you definitely should consider Chris Paul. Let's see what he has done here. He had a 40 spot in the last game against Utah, which is not that bad. 35 prior to that in game 1. And then against Minnesota, he had a 31, 55, 28, 53, and a 23. So he was up and down a little bit. He had 2 50s. We know he's capable of hitting 50. So that would not be a factor if you're willing to pay 88. He may just explode for 50 today. You never know. He's getting sufficient shots. 8 of 19 in the last game. Look at that usage rate. Almost 30%, 29%, 35 minutes. He shot 2 of 5 from 3. He got to the foul line a little bit. He does always a little bit of everything. That's good about Chris Paul. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Surprisingly, the assist total was very low. 3 steals. He did get into foul trouble, and he got 23 solid points. Not a bad play. It's just, for me, it's just, I'm telling you, I'm just being totally honest with you. I like Curry better and Rondo in this particular slate today. I'm not on Chris Paul, but if you guys really want to stack or want to figure out a way to squeeze in Chris Paul there and get value somewhere else, yeah, I would think Chris Paul is a fine play because he has upside. And with GPPs, that's what you want. He's definitely a good GPP play just simply from what we see here on record. So I mean, from what he has done so far. So he's definitely out of the point guards in that game listed. In this listing of Paul versus Exum, obviously Paul is the better player. We know that Paul is going to go up against Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is starting. We know Exum is coming off the bench. Shooting guard, we got Harden and Mitchell. We know Mitchell's playing the point, and we know that Burks as well as O'Neal are been playing kind of like shooting guard and small forward. So that's what you're looking at there. If I go here to the cruncher shooting guard, there goes James Harden. James Harden is definitely in play. I mean, he's put up 61, 59, 57, 59. He's averaging 58 throughout the whole playoffs. 58 fantasy points, throughout the playoffs. So I mean, he's doing his thing, man. He had an off night in the last game. He still put up 59. Now, again, how did he do that and even be in foul trouble? Well, he had 11 assists, 6 rebounds, he had 2 steals. He got to the foul line, which is important, 12 of 13, even though his shooting was horrendous, 9 of 22 and 2 of 10. He missed a couple open looks, but he also was challenged a lot. I think they found a way to neutralize him and make it a little bit more tougher for him to get in rhythm. You cannot let this guy just stand there and just take threes wide open. Sometimes he was just taking threes with not even one defender 3 or 4 feet away from him. It's ridiculous. This is the main guy on the team. It don't make no sense to me to see how you're going to have a defense rotate and not cover James Harden, who is probably one of the best top 5 players in the NBA. I mean, you just don't do it, and especially if you give him that kind of room. He's just going to bury 3-pointers. So they made it more challenging for him, and I think that's obviously that formula is going to have to continue throughout this playoffs. If you can neutralize Harden, and me seeing what Utah did the other day, I'm not so in favor of James Harden going into the rest of the series if Utah can do that again today. If they can neutralize him, make it a little difficult for him to have those open looks, he may not have that great of a game. 9 of 22 and 10 of 10, that is horrific. If it wasn't for his free throws, he would not have gone up to 32 points and not up to almost 60 points in fantasy. But he is in play at 12-5. You need 55. You need about 53 from him. And we know that he's capable of it. I mean, not 12-5, actually not 50, but you need 60. Sorry about that. You need about 62, 63. It's very close. He got 61 here. He's definitely at his value price, of what he's capable of. But we know that he has upside. He hasn't shown it here in the playoffs yet. We know that he can get up to the 70s and 80s. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I think because Utah is a very good defending team, they're going to definitely try to make it difficult on him again today. That crowd is going to be on fire over there in Utah. They've really been loud throughout the playoffs. So it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait. I really am looking forward to that game. So, you guys that really love James Harden, want to pay that price, you can. I think he's capable again there. As you can see, his projections are projected to be only 48. So, that tells you something. Donovan Mitchell, definitely in play. 42, 28, 43, 44. Donovan Mitchell is averaging 43 throughout these playoffs. Those are very sound numbers. He's almost up to 9K. At 9K, pretty much you need 45 from him. And you know what? He is capable of doing it, and I am willing to pay for Donovan Mitchell 45 because Houston has had their issues, like I mentioned before in previous videos. Houston has allowed, let me go back here for a moment. Houston has allowed, where are we? 9 big games, scoring games, fantasy scoring games to shooting guards this season. All right, 9. Yes, 9. All right, 9 games, and they have had their issues. 42 in the last game. He just went over Valley. The minutes are incredible. His usage rate, we know he's the stud on the team right now. He was off 6 of 21, and he still put up 17 fantasy points because he got the steals. He assisted the ball, and he went and got rebounds. I would love to see him get more to the foul line. At least get maybe 6 shots from the foul line. But this kid is so elusive that either he gets blocked or he muffs up the ball. Is the only reason why he doesn't get to the foul line. But if he just 6 of 21, man, jeez. That's really a bad shooting night, and then you got the win. So it's scary to know if you defend the way you have defended in Game 2 and come home and do that same kind of defense and neutralize Mr. Harden, and you get your star player here, your rookie, who's carried your team throughout pretty much the whole season, shoot at 45% clip or better, it's going to be an easy peasy win for Utah at home. 6 of 21 he shot and 2 of 8 from 3, and 17 total points, and he's put up 42 fantasy points, and his team won by 8. I mean, it comes to show you, if he could play that way, he could play better, shoot better. He hasn't shot well in the 2 games in the series. You can see 9 of 22 in the first game. 9 of 22, but, you know, he does the other things. He assisted, he rebounds, you know. I mean, he had a poor game. He comes back with a better game. So he hasn't even shot well yet in the series. If he could shoot a little bit better, man, it's scary. It's scary how well they can do it. If they can get Rubio back, it's even more scary. This team is well balanced with Rubio on the court. But Donovan Mitchell is in play for me tonight, guys. In play, all right? Definitely like Donovan Mitchell there. Coming to the lower end here, Burks is in play and Gordon as definitely value plays for each team. Burks is averaging 24. And let's see what we have for Mr. Gordon is averaging 21. He's valued at 5. Burks is at 4. I'd rather pay $4,000 for Mr. Burks. Okay, I'd rather pay $4,000 for Mr. Burks, who's averaging 24 in 3 games, whereas I will pay $1,000 more for Gordon. He's averaging 21 over 7 games. Who has the upside? Maybe Gordon, but the longest Rubio is out, Burks is going to get his time. So let's look at this lower tier guys here. Let's look at Gordon first. He put a 30 spot in that game the other day. It was pretty much, 34 minutes. Good usage. He shot a lot of shots, 5 of 16, which is, a little bit more than he normally shoots. I think he's more of a 12, 13 shots a game. He shot 16, 3 of 6 from 3. He was 50% there. 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks. That's why you got those fantasy, blocks at 3 points each. You got 6 points right there. A steal is another 3 points. You got 9 there. So, that really, jumps up your overall stats on fantasy points. But like I said yesterday, and I've said in previous other videos, if you can get guys, if you can find guys that can do this on a regular basis, get a steal, get a block, it's going to automatically, bring your fantasy points up higher. And those are the kind of guys you want to find in there. And especially if you can find one that can actually score and give you some value plays, and he gets the minutes and he gets shots. Eric Gordon is in a good spot here, guys. I just prefer to go with Burks, who's playing a little bit less minutes, but is getting good quality shots. He's involved in the offense because he needs to, because they don't have Rubio. And look at that, 33 and 20 in the first 2 games. And overall, with the rest of these games here, tucked in where he didn't have to play a whole lot, he is averaging, 24 fantasy points. So definitely, especially more so in the last 3 games, he's been most active. So I like Burks here. At that price of $4,000, you need 20 from him, and he's been averaging more than that. They project him to have 19, but he has shown that he can do 20 or better. So I definitely like him there. Small forward in this game, we have Ingles, O'Neal, PJ Tucker, and Ariza. I am not on Green, Johnson, or anybody else for that matter. The other 4 guys obviously are going to get some time on the court. This is an area where obviously Joe Ingles has the highest value, $6,700 in price, and Joe Ingles is probably the better guy, period, in this particular series at that position. He put up a 30 spot in the last game. He played 36 minutes, 10 of 13. He was fantastic. 10 of 13 from the floor, 7 of 9 from 3-point range. All right. It would have helped if he would have gotten a couple of blocks and steals, but it didn't happen. He put 27 overall points up there. That's why, his fantasy point level looks low. All right, because he didn't get no free throws. He didn't get hardly anything else. No assists, only 3 rebounds. But if he could continue to shoot this way and maybe get a block or a steal there, we've got 35 to 40. We know he's capable of getting to the 35 range. We know he can go up 40 as he did here, 46. All right, what I have him for Mr. Ingles. Ingles has been averaging 26. Ingles has been averaging 26 over the playoffs. Joe Ingles. He's in a good matchup here. He's in a good matchup here. PJ Tucker is known to be a good defender. But Ingles, just with all the screens, pick and roll, opening up in the three-point area. He's been fantastic. I mean, he was definitely in the last game. We need him to continue to do that today. He's a very, very important piece to the Utah Jazz's success as far as like when they are shooting well. He is definitely one of those shooters. So I like Joe Ingles here at 6,700. You need you need about 33, 34 from him, and they're saying here that he's going to get about 30. I think he could get there. I think there is some value with some of the other guys. I think I'll have him in a lineup or two. I don't think that he'll be a core player, but I could find some spots in some of my lineups for Joe Ingles. I think he's definitely a decent play here. When we go now to Royce O'Neal. Let's go over here to the cruncher. O'Neal here at the 11th spot, pretty much in the last game. He did get sufficient minutes. He's just not too involved in the offense at all. I mean, he was more defending than anything else. I don't favor O'Neal that much. I like out of the lower tier players that Utah has available for tonight, I'd rather go with Mr. Burks than Mr. O'Neal. Obviously, Burks has shown he's put up 24. O'Neal's been averaging 15. And his best game was in the first game of the playoffs against Houston in this series. And against OKC, he did have a 23 spot, almost a 24 spot, and a 20 spot in between those games. But he's not taking a lot of shots. He's more defending than anything else, rebounding and dishing off balls. He does commit a couple of turnovers, which is a little bit, but he's capable of getting those steals where he gets those added points. That's the reason why he got 23.6 here. As you can see, he had 4 steals in that game. 4 steals right there, that alone is 12 points. so you take the 12 away, he really only has 11. So I mean, if he does those little things like that, it's not bad. I'm not on O'Neal. I think he's okay, but at 5,200, he's a little too pricey for me. I rather will go with Tucker, who plays massive minutes, if I'm going to do that, or I would just focus on Mr. Burks. PJ Tucker, 30, 25, and 20. He has definitely played well as of late. 33, 35, and 33 minutes. Mr. Tucker has been averaging, 17 over the playoffs, but his best games have been the last 3. The last game against Minnesota and the 2 games against Utah, he's just been finding ways to get open, getting some nice shots. He didn't shoot well in the last game, 2 of 9 and 1 of 5. All right, but man, he was rebounding his butt off. 10 rebounds in that game and 3 assists. That's the reason why he got 30 fantasy points. 25 here, and let's see how he did that. 6 of 8 and 3 of 5. That's more like it. 6 rebounds total, and basically that was it. He had the 1 steal. So he had two blocks and 1 steal in the last game, even though he had 5 fouls. That's how you accumulate those fantasy points. He's not consistent in that area as far as steals and blocks, but he's decent when he's on with his shooting and he gets those open looks. He can definitely hurt you. So I think they're going to keep on focusing on letting PJ take his shot. I think they'd rather have PJ Tucker take those threes, or even Ariza, who's been a little off, and neutralize Harden and Paul more from those 3-pointers. I think that's going to be their main focus here. So PJ Tucker in play as a low value play. I am not on him myself. I think he's definitely an option. I would rather go with Burks in this particular game. If I'm going to look for value in the Utah-Houston game, I'm going to go with Burks. All right, power forward. We have Favors, Crowder, Bahamute. Ryan Anderson is non-existent here. Jerbico as well. I'm not interested in those guys. So power forward here, definitely you want to focus on Favors and Crowder and Bahamute. Bahamute will be the lower tier guy. Obviously, he's only priced at $3,000, but he just came back to the roster and he's only played 2 games. He's still finding his way. I think at $3,000, I did put him in a couple of lineups the other day as a low price value play, and he came up with a few points, not as much as I wanted. The best play obviously here is Jay Crowder. Crowder has been playing really, really well. 27 and 32 in the 2 games in this series, 34 and 33 minutes, and he has been averaging. What do we have here for Crowder? Crowder's averaging 24 during the course of the playoffs, and as you can see, he has 40-point upside, so he definitely can get explosive on you. 5 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3. He had 10 rebounds, 1 assist only. Surprisingly, no blocks and steals, but he's capable of doing that, as you can see here throughout. He gets those steals. But he's definitely a nice shooter when he's in rhythm, man. He's very dangerous. I like him here at 5,000. You only need 25 from him. And, man, I mean, he's averaging that in the last 2 games. He's been doing that, and he's been averaging, like I said before, 24 throughout the playoffs. And he has that 43 upside. So I love Jay Crowder here. Definitely like Mr. Crowder. All right, so he's definitely someone you should consider. And by Derek Favors, haven't played him a whole lot. He's definitely been having his troubles. Favors has been averaging, what is he averaging here? I tallied him up. Favors is averaging 26, so he's actually a little better than Crowder, but it's because he's a starter. I mean, you know, he's just haven't found really his rhythm in these 2 playoff series. You know, he definitely had a 33 spot against OKC in that final game, but 18 and 21 pretty much in this series. His minutes were reduced in the last game. He doesn't get into foul trouble. He hasn't been in that since in 4 games. But not a ton of shots. That's not, you know, he's not a 3-point shooter. He's a rebounder. He's not even rebounding as much in the last 2 games. So we definitely need more of him. But obviously, the reasons for that is because Mr. Crowder is getting the bulk of the minutes, and he is getting the bulk of the offense. We know that the offense doesn't revolve around Mr. Favors. So and he's priced higher than Crowder. Hands down, Crowder is the best play here. I love Crowder here, Davis and Green. Out of all these guys here in the power forward and the slate. We go to center. We got Capella and Gobert. Those are the only 2 guys you worry about. The last time they played, I told you guys I love Capella. I still do, simply because you know, he just gets so many. He has such a good rapport with Harden. Harden and him they just play. They're just having fun playing with each other. These guys, I mean, you know how many easy baskets this guy gets? It's incredible how easy the baskets become. But if they can neutralize him in those easy baskets, Gobert can get a little tighter. Gobert's a good defender. Don't get me wrong. You know, these are 2 good athletic guys that are thin, well-shaped, got great wingspans. That's what makes this game, you know, very competitive when it comes to the center spot. These guys are going to be close in points, but I think Capella's going to get more because he's going to get more of the easier plays. At least that's what has been seen throughout the playoffs, is that he gets a lot of easy buckets. And Gobert gets some easy buckets as well with the alley-oops and the, but I think Capella just gets a little bit more. You know, rebounding wise, they're going to be competing. They're going to be close. Let's look at his numbers: 46 and 36 in the 2 games. Capella has been averaging. What do we have here for Capella? Capella's been averaging 39 fantasy points during the course of the playoffs. Not bad. He's at 8,900, so you need about 45. So he's getting up there. You're averaging close to 40, and they want 45 at that price. You're gonna need to get 45 from him. And you know, I don't know if he's gonna quite get there today, but he possibly can. But you don't have really a lot of choices here at center. It's either you're gonna pay the 89 for Capella, or you're gonna pay 79 for Gobert. So I'll probably have a couple of lineups with Capella, and I probably will have a couple of lineups with Gobert. That's the best advice I can give you guys. You utilize both guys. Obviously, you can't put both of them on the floor, but you can use one lineup, a solid core with Capella, and then set up another lineup with a solid core and having Gobert there. And that's the best advice I can give you guys. All right, don't settle on one guy. But right now, Gobert at 1,000 cheaper doesn't look too bad. Okay, so 46, 36, 48, 49. He's been fantastic. He's getting sufficient shots. Obviously, a lot of these shots are very close to the basket, 10 of 15. That's why his percentage of converting has been great. 7 of 13, 12 of 14 here, 6 of 11. You know, he's getting rebounds, 11, 12, 15, 17. He's been doing great. He's normally not in foul trouble. He got into 4 fouls the other day. I mean, I'm sure 1 or 2 of them were pretty cheesy fouls, but he's not a fouler. You know, this guy is very disciplined as far as defending. He's not a bad defender. Gobert is just a better defender. With him, it's just that he just happens to have a guy that feeds him so perfectly. Their tandem and their way of working with each other is just perfect. And he has that great rapport already. He's in sync big time with James Harden. So Capella or Gobert are both in play, guys. It's your preference. You want to save $1,000, you go with Gobert. Gobert put up a 30, pretty much a 39 spot in the last game, 37 minutes, 5 of 7 from the floor. And as you can see, he's getting less shots than Capella. This is why I like Capella more for 1,000 more. But he does get a lot of rebounds, and he has a tendency of doing this to get fantasy points. Blocks. Sometimes steals, which he didn't have no steal in the last game. But the other big flaw about Gobert that I'm always fearful of is that he gets into foul trouble, which I've said before in previous videos. So that's the only drawback. So do you want to pay $7,900 and roll the dice? Sure, why not? He's capable of doing it. Or do you want to just minimize that, go with somebody who's a little more disciplined, has an opportunity to put up a lot of more close up short, easy converting shots in Capella? Then, you know, you can do that. So I'm saying utilize both guys. If you want to make the bulk of your lineups with Capella, do that. If you want to make the bulk of your lineups with your center being Gobert, I will not hate you for it. I think it's just as good an idea. All right, which I will do the same. I'm going to utilize both. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm going to utilize both. I just think Capella will get me the best chance to get 40 plus from. That's the only thing. I think he can get me to 45. Where Gobert probably won't get me to 45. But again, it's all about the numbers. So you can find value somewhere else. You do that. Then you can go there. All right, so that wraps it up with these guys there. As far as pairings here, as far as our team stacks, if you think of Houston, definitely Harden, Capella. I'm just talking about it. I think that's a good team stack. And if you wanted to go the other way around, you can go Paul with Capella because Paul feeds him just as well too. All right. I like those guys. Triple play for sure. Houston, Paul, Harden, Capella. They work well together. They're able to all be on the floor at the same time and still be able to get sufficient shots and easy buckets for Capella from either one of the two guys. So if you wanted to go with a stacking of Houston, definitely Paul, Harden, and Capella will work. I would prefer just a double stack. I definitely love the Harden Capella stack, but I don't know if I'm going to be on Harden today, so I more than likely will not be utilizing him. It's a tough matchup for Harden. I think he's going to definitely still get his, but I don't know if he's going to have an explosive day. I mean, you never know. This is why they play the games, and this is what it's all about. But in my opinion, if Utah can play the way they neutralized him a bit in Game 2, the same way tonight, they can go with that same kind of game plan and philosophy, and they can execute. I think that he's going to have a hard time, and somebody else is going to have to step up, like a PJ Tucker or a Trevor Ariza. And that's pretty much it with Houston. Value plays for Houston, I mentioned before. I love Eric Gordon as a value play. He's averaging 21. He's only 5K. He has upside. And if you're going to go anybody cheaper than that, you go PJ Tucker at 17. When you come to Utah, their stacks, definitely love Mitchell with Gobert. That's about 79, 80 fantasy points with them together. Mitchell's averaging 43, Gobert 36. You can also go with Mitchell and Crowder at 43 and 24. You can even do Mitchell with Ingles. Ingles is at 26 fantasy points, while Mitchell's at 43 on the average. Triple play here with this particular team right now, at least without no Rubio. It would have been Rubio, Mitchell with Gobert for me. But right now, I think that these three guys could definitely do some wonders for you and give you some good fantasy points because they've been averaging decent enough numbers as Mitchell, Ingles with Gobert. So if you wanted to triple it up with 3 Utah Jazz players, I think I think that's the best 3 that you could definitely put in and then just build a lineup around those guys with the remaining players in that particular game or from the Golden State New Orleans games. All right. Value plays for the Utah Jazz. I already told you Burks is my favorite play. O'Neal is an option. He's not an option for me, but he's averaging 15 and he's at 5,200. At 5,200, I can go with Gordon, who's only $200 less, and he's averaging more, and he has more time on the floor, and he has more upside. So I definitely would like Eric Gordon over him, but Burks is the best play at 4K and averaging 24, especially in the last 3 games. I like Burks, and knowing that there's not going to be no Rudy Gobert, he's going to get some time on the floor, and as effective as he has been in those 3 games, especially in the 2 games in this series, I see him still getting the same amount of minutes, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he gets even more than that. So the long as he's shooting well, he's going to get. So I think he's definitely a good value player at 4K with a lot of upside. So that's basically it. That's what I'm thinking there, guys. So that's where I'm at, man, after evaluating these 2 games. So again, I'm just going to recap. The Golden State New Orleans game, obviously Curry, to me, good play. Very expensive, but good play. He's going to get more minutes tonight. He put up 42 and 27 minutes. Hey, tonight, you never know. He's going to put up 50 plus. All right, so I think he's going to definitely cover and blow by, value here. Raja Rondo, definitely a great play, 7,500. I mean, you need 36. We need about 37 from him. I don't see that being an issue. I think he's going to do that. Yet he is probably, I mean, 7,500 is considered cheap for the amount of play that he's been given thus far. So, I mean, you know I'm going to have a whole lot of Rondo. Shooting guard in this scheme, definitely love Holiday over Thompson. Nobody else, obviously, in this particular category for me. Holiday is one of the studs from New Orleans. I expect him to play and ball out. We hear Durant, definitely one of the studs for Golden State. I think at 10, you need about 53, 54. Pretty, and he's been averaging less than 50 in the actual playoffs. I don't know. It's really, really close. He may go off, but with Curry there, I think Curry's going to take over. Durant is going to be the second guy, or maybe even Draymond Green. I kind of like Green more and Curry out of all the Golden State Warriors tonight. So definitely someone to consider. You see Iguodala here. He definitely is a fine play. He has a value play at 4,600. He's been very, very good over the course of the playoffs. As I mentioned before, he's averaging 24 fantasy points at 4,600. He's priced just right, and he has 30 point upside. So definitely someone to consider. The lower tier guys, obviously Moore here and Miller. I definitely like Moore here at 4,500, and Mr. Moore is in a good position too as far as coming through for New Orleans here. So definitely New Orleans with Mr. Moore. Let's see what we have here. Moore is averaging 18, guys. Sorry, 18 for Moore. So Iguodala and Moore are definitely nice value plays for each one of the teams if you were to consider those. Power forward. Definitely Anthony Davis is in play. I think he's just a little too pricey. He's going to have to be at that range tonight if they're going to get a win. Definitely needs to get 60 or better. I think he can get there. I just don't think I want to pay 12.9. I'd rather pay 9 for Draymond Green, who's giving me just as much as Anthony Davis and more consistent. Right now. I mean, what we got here? Draymond Green. What I have for Green? Draymond Green is averaging 47 throughout the playoffs. So 47 at 9, that's not bad. You need to get 45, and he's actually producing more than that. So he's definitely at a good price at $9,000. So Draymond Green is the best play there. Marichek is an option. If he can get hot, dangerous, very good price for him if he can get hot. Marichek is averaging 39 during the course of the playoffs. At 72, you need 36. You need about 36 from him. So he's very close, and that means that he's averaging 39. That means he's definitely priced just below value. So he's very, very good. He's definitely in the right spot, and he has 45 plus, 50 plus upside. He could definitely get you 50 plus if he's knocking down those shots. Value plays down here. I mentioned West, definitely not bad. The only thing is he doesn't get a whole lot of minutes. He averages 10 to 14 minutes, but he usually puts a point a minute. He's averaging in the playoffs. What we have here for West again. West is averaging 18 fantasy points every time he's on the court during the course of these playoffs, and he's priced just right too. So I think he's an option. I won't beat on, but he's an option, and that's basically it there. Center, obviously, there's nobody there. In Houston, Utah, point guard, we know Chris Paul's in play, but I favor Donovan Mitchell more at point guard, who is going to be playing the point obviously for Utah tonight. So I'm definitely on Mitchell. I'm not on Harden. I think he's a little too pricey. I think the defense is going to clamp up on him, make it a little tough for him to get really good open looks. He's going to have to keep assisting, making good decisions with the ball and passing it to the open man. He's going to have to hit Capella for a lot more, and he's going to have to also pass over to Mr. Tucker and Ariza and hope that those guys bury their shots. So I think it's just a tough matchup for him, especially after the last game. He's going to have to definitely work hard. I don't know if I want to pay 12.5. I may put him in a lineup if I can squeeze him in, because obviously he has tremendous upside. He can definitely put 60 or 70 up on the board, but I think I'm going to pass and find value somewhere else. So I like Mitchell here. Low value plays, definitely Mr. Burks is one of my favorite at 4. We know that he's putting up 24 during the course of his 3 games. He has been playing more. He's going to play some more again tonight. He's been very effective. I see him being a part of the offense, so I like him there. Eric Gordon is a sneaky play for Houston. Definitely a nice value play. He's my best value play for anybody who's looking at a Houston player. He's at 5. He's like at the mid-tier level as far as price. That's still considered pretty low considering who is here in this particular slate. So Eric Gordon, definitely a fine play. Small forward, Angles is definitely in play. I'm not on O'Neal. He's only averaging 15. He's playing a little bit more and shooting a little bit more now, but not enough for me. I think Burks is definitely the value play there in the Houston game for Utah. PJ Tucker, he's playing a little bit better than Ariza right now, so I'd rather go with Tucker over Ariza. He is 4,600. I think that's not a bad play for value. Power forward over here, Favors is good rebounder, is not playing enough points for me. I think Crowder is definitely an offensive player, much more explosive offensive player than Favors, especially from shooting, from the shooting aspects of the game. I like Crowder here. He's got a good feel for the offense right now. They're really feeding off of him too. He is definitely an integral part of the offense right now, and they need him to definitely shoot well. So he's going to definitely be someone that's going to be in my lineups. Bayamute, $3,000, nice low value play here for power forward. He's only been back only 2 games. I expect him to get a few more minutes today than he has been averaging. I don't see Anderson getting much unless it's a blowout situation and they decide to sit down and Bayamute or anybody else in that lineup. Maybe you see a little bit of Anderson, but Anderson's definitely not in the picture at all. At center, obviously this is the game with the centers. Capella, Gobert, like I said before, either one of those guys, you cannot go wrong. I just think Capella has a little bit more upside simply because of who passes the ball to him. He has a great rapport with Paul and Harden, especially Harden. So as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble, which is not a fouler, so that's pretty good. He has good discipline there. But I'd rather pay $1,000 more and get Capella because he has the upside of getting 40 plus. Where Gobert doesn't, it's either rebounding. He doesn't really get a lot of he gets rebounds or he gets a little putbacks. That's the only way he gets his offense. He really doesn't get a lot of shots or a lot of alley-oops compared to Capella. So my mindset is with Capella as maybe my main center, so he's probably going to be the more chalkier center. But these are the 2 guys that are available to you, as obviously Gobert will be cheaper, and he's also going to be least owned. So, again, I'm going to utilize both guys. I recommend you guys do the same. Again, remember, like I said yesterday, you could team stack. You can team stack 1 game, all right? You could utilize 6 or 7 players from the Houston-Utah game and make them your core, and then say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go with 3 guys that I can actually get in that lineup and finish up my 7th, 8th, and 9th spot with guys from Golden State, New Orleans, or vice versa. Go to Golden State, New Orleans. Another game is very explosive. Obviously, the higher scoring game of the night. You can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to build a core of 6 or 7 solid guys and leave enough value that I can get 2 decent players or possibly 3 decent players from the Houston-Utah game, and you can stack your game with 1 individual. You can stack up your lineup with 1 individual game. Those are strategies that you should use when you're doing GPPs. 6 or 7 from one team, 2 from another game, or vice versa, especially in a 2-game slate. And then you can go and you can balance it out. I've had winning combinations with 5 players, 5 solid plays from one game and 4 from the other, or you can go 6-3, or you can go 7-2. You can even go 8-1. I see a lot of guys doing that when I'm watching the games unfold on my phone or my tablet. I see guys, they get off and running right away. You're saying, so why they accumulated 100 points already? Well, it's because they're stacking up 1 game and they have about 7 or 8 players from that 1 game. But usually those don't pan out. I see more success if you have 6, 5, or maybe as high as 7 and getting 2 from another game. Going 8, and then getting 1 player from 1 game, especially this slate where there's enough offense here to there's a lot of key players that you can actually mix and match and make a good lineup with. I would rather go that than to try to just stack up the whole lineup with 8 solid guys from 1 game. So again, that's a good strategy, but I don't think that's a winning strategy as far as winning the GPP. So you want to do that. I think the best thing to do is to get 6 or 7 and then get the other 2 or 3 from the other game, or go 5-4 or something like that. And basically that's it. And then make sure that you also make those decisions on those team stacks like I mentioned. All right. That's basically it, guys, man. Good luck tonight. I hope somebody wins. Hopefully somebody was one of my listeners. I appreciate you guys listening to my videos. I've gotten some decent comments from some people. I've gotten some kind words. I appreciate it. I'm just doing stuff that I like. I really love sports, and I've been a big sports fan for over 25, 30 years. I'm an older guy. I'm not one of the younger guys, but I love sports, and hey, you know what? I'm in my comfort zone here, especially after I get acclimated to it. So this is all new to me, but at the same time, I'm having fun with it, and that's the most important thing to me. And And I appreciate you guys that have subscribed and have given me comments and drop those likes. Continue to do that. I appreciate it, man. Drop a like if you like the video. Comment down below anything you want to talk to me about, anything you want to speak to me about a particular slate, or speak to me about anything pertaining to basketball. I'm more than happy to go back and forth and talk about it. I want to get to the point where I build a community where I can actually spend and do some live streams and we can interact and talk about other things. We're probably going to do that for sure going into the Major League Baseball season after I wrap up another week or so, when these games become just one-game slates. Maybe by the time we get to the finals, I probably won't do no more NBA videos. I'll probably just strictly go MLB. At that point in time, maybe after a couple of weeks, I get acclimated to what I want to bring out forward to my audience as far as Major League Baseball advice for their lineups. Then maybe I'll decide which day is a good night or a good day to be able to have a live stream, and we can discuss the slate and we can even build a team together, and all of us could all pool in and say, hey, you know what, let's all go and try to win this 100 or 20K or 25K event. Let's do a lineup that we agree on together, and we put it out there and everybody buys into it. And we use that lineup. We can do all kind of things like that, whatever it may be. But I'm looking to build a nice audience and a nice community among, daily fantasy sport players that are big sports fans like me. So again, keep it coming, man. I love it. I appreciate all the likes, the subscribers. Hey, again, like the video. If you haven't subscribed, first time here, please subscribe down below. We got it right now in the right-hand corner of the screen. A lot easier for you to subscribe. And of course, don't forget to turn on the notifications. This way, that bell rings, boom, you get the video as soon as I upload it, and you never miss any of my uploads. Plain and simple. So with that being said, man, God bless. Good luck tonight for those who are doing lineups. Enjoy the basketball games. TGIF. It's Friday. Let's have a great weekend. And your boy Manny is out.